And I think we're live. How are you, Beck? Welcome, community.
Hello, Stef. How are you? I'm really excited about today's call. We had some news drop last week, and there's been a lot of emotion. There's been a lot of conversations, and I think there's a lot of confusion around. And I know for myself, we want to debunker. There's all these ASCO codes and Oscar and classifications and certifications and regulations. But what does it all mean? And so that's what I really want to come in today to really just stop the panic
Yes.
and know that ABIC has absolutely got our industry because we've got this incredible council that sits in the background, especially you, Stef, Milla, that's here with us today, our CEO of ABIC, who absolutely works tirelessly in the background. Us as a committee see what you do, Stef, and you're the best person to talk to. Because I know when you start talking about this, it's like absolutely blows my mind as well. So, for anybody that's joining us, if you have a question, I'm actually going to open up my, the live, and if there is a question that I can come back to, please ask the questions. But I reckon, Steph, what we're going to do is we're going to get you to actually start from the start of how this all started, and where it comes into the classifications for our industry. So I'm going to let you go there, and then I'll keep coming back to what it means right now for the different levels of classifications and why the regulations are changing. So let's go, Steph.
I think it's a really good place to start, actually, because there's so much confusion. People are thinking, why are we here? Has ABIC done this? Why is everything changing? And the simple reason is because our industry has changed so much over the last 20 years. Think about the growth that we've had, for 20 years. We started off with, one profession, and we've ended up with, three different, 4, 5 different professions within the same, industry. And during that time, the government hasn't understood what we've done, how we've changed. And that's because two things. One, because we haven't really had united peak body to cover the whole industry and to talk to the government to say, look, all the changes that are happening in every sector, we've kind of been siloed for a long time, each in our own little niche. And the government didn't really get a great picture of what we did as a whole, right? So that's number one. Number two, it's really kind of the government's fault, because the people that govern what occupations are around are called the Australian Bureau of Statistics. And the ABS, so you'll hear ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, they're responsible for putting codes next to every occupation so that the government knows, hey, that's the code for an accountant exists. That's a code for the beauty therapist. A beauty therapist exists, and this is what they do. That's a code for, a plumber, and that's what a plumber does, right? And they understand the roles with the ANZSCO codes, which are the occupation codes that the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, use to classify and then tell the government what we do. Then every 5 years or 6 years, however long the census comes out, you get to pick your occupation, and that corresponds with an ANZSCO code. And then the government knows all the statistics about us, and they'll know how many plumbers there are. They'll know how many beauty therapists there are. They'll know how many, accountants there are in Australia and New Zealand. That's what ANZSCO stands for, Australia and New Zealand codes.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been updated in 20 years. So we have been stuck with selecting beauty therapist, even if you're a dermal therapist, a beautician, or a cosmetic nurse or anything, you're a beauty therapist, and this is all that the government knows. So now they've decided to update it. So this is all of what's happening. The Australian Bureau of Statistics are like, we're going to update this. Here you go, tell us what your occupations are and tell us if we need to review these. And of course, our industry said, yes, we do. We have a beautician, or beauty services, beauty consultant, whatever you would love to call that category, because there's so many wonderful names for it. There is a beauty therapist diploma, an advanced diploma of skin therapy. There's dermal therapist, which is a diploma, and there's dermal clinician, and there's cosmetic nurse. So we applied for 5. We say, let's do it, and let's say exactly what they are, because there are thousands of people in each occupation, right? Thousands, literally. And the qualification for having an occupation is you only have to have 300 people do this. We have thousands upon thousands of beauty therapists, so we should be classified properly. So we put a submission in. They did not take our recommendations. Why did they not take the recommendations? I think that's a longer story and an implication for the future. But right now we're in the process of finding out what they've done, what they've classified us at, and appealing it so that we can change it, or working around it so that our industry's safe. That's basically the story. And now we can go into explaining what these codes mean, if you like.
Yeah, because it's been divided into 3.
Right.
What are they, Steph? And, what does
Okay.
this mean for the beauty therapist, the dermal therapist, the business owner? I know in my communication, there's been a lot of panic, that we've got people that are 3 and 4 that are operating heavier equipment. They've done lots of training. They've got lots of industry experience, but they don't have the diploma. Does that mean that they can't operate those machineries? And what is the upskilling that's needed? So there's 3 categories so far. Now, I think one of the things that we need to tell everybody is this is not in concrete yet, is it?
Okay, so there's an appeals process, so we can appeal the decision, but everybody that's watching this and that needs to understand something, there is nothing to panic about now. There is nothing changing. You can keep business as usual. You can keep doing your treatments. You can keep operating a business. It's okay. For now, this is not regulation. It is not legislation. It is the foundation for education and the foundation for regulation. It is the very starting point of the changes, right? So right now, all it is they're defining who we are. It's a definition process, right? So now the definitions are this. They've split us in the beauty sector, in the personal services sector, because there's personal services and then there's health services. Okay, so let's separate those. Personal services, they've only given us 2 occupations. 2 occupations. One is beauty therapist at a skill level 3. What does that mean? It means that a skill level 3 is equivalent to a certificate, not a diploma. They've given us a category that is basically equivalent to Cert 3 and 4. And they've called it beauty therapist. They've given us another category called dermal therapist, and that's a skill level 2, which is a diploma. Now, what does that mean? It means that a person with a diploma of beauty therapy is in this weird gray area in between, because they're like, well, I have a diploma of beauty therapy. I don't have a cert beauty therapy. I don't have a diploma of dermal therapy. I'm kind of in no man's land. Where do I go? Am I a dermal therapist because now I have a diploma, which means I can be called a dermal therapist because I'm not a certificate? Well, actually, no. If you've got a qualification that says you're a beauty therapist, then you cannot be called a dermal therapist. It is 2 different qualifications. If you're a beauty therapist with a diploma of beauty therapy, you can't say I have a diploma of dermal therapy. Therefore, you're not a dermal therapist. You are a beauty therapist with advanced training. So you fall into the skill level 3 category of beauty therapy, but as an advanced trained beauty therapist. So you're still in that beauty therapy category. If you're a dermal therapist, you have a dermal therapy diploma or associate diploma, and it says dermal therapy. However, if you're, this is where we're unclear, and this is where we're hopeful, is that if you're a beauty therapist and you've been performing dermal therapies for 3 years, actually doing the definition exactly of what dermal therapy is, you may be able to consider yourself a dermal therapist, because the provision under dermal therapy is the diploma or 3 years relevant experience. So it doesn't say and, it says or. Now we need to clarify this, because this does give everyone hope that if this remains the foundation, then education and regulation will then follow onto that. But there's a provision for experience. So I think we could be hopeful that if you've been doing this for a while, it could be okay. The then problem remains that if you are new and you want to be studying beauty therapy, but you want to be a dermal therapist, you must study dermal therapy, because that's probably going to change regulation wise in the future. Because you can, like, if you're wanting to study, you're wanting to perform dermal therapies, and right now you're enrolled in beauty therapy, you're probably enrolled in the wrong thing. Go enroll yourself in dermal therapy to set yourself up for the future. If you've already been doing it for so long, I am hopeful that we're able to get grandfathering clauses in there to be able to allow those therapists to then easily, the hope is and the aim is to easily migrate over and update their definitions and their titles to reflect dermal therapy. Now, this is a process that's going to take a while. It's not just now, it is the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's elevating, it's expanding, and the government's trying to work out, who's who in the zoo, really, isn't it? And to actually get some regulations around it. So I know that there's a lot of work that gets done in the background. What has ABIC been doing to, I know that you've had so many sleepless nights, you've been working. What has ABIC been doing, and why is it important that we actually have a voice to actually be, and for everybody to come together and for us to all stand together, especially when it comes to these things, especially when it comes to regulation and classification and all those things, when the industry is going through change?
Well, look, membership is a tricky thing, and the industry is a tricky thing, and having a new peak body is also a difficult adjustment, because we've had 20 years of not having this type of peak body that talks to government in this way, in this united, holistic type of way. So I don't blame the industry for going, oh, why do we even need a peak body? Why should I be a member? Why should I join? I don't really need it, blah, blah, blah. Because you know why? We haven't had it for so long, and we've coped and we've been okay. The problem here is that things are changing, and and it's kind of like a cry wolf situation. We've had so long people going, oh yeah, regulation's going to come in, or oh yeah, changes are coming in, and it's not happened. And it's kind of like, well, it's a bit of a cry wolf situation. Why? We'll be fine. The thing is, things are actually changing. People have been not noticing, but the changes have been happening in every sector of our industry. We're talking from cosmetic all the way now to beauty. We've got education reform happening, we've got regulation reform happening, and this ANZSCO, which is now called OSCA, by the way, they've changed it.
But they're the same.
They're the same thing.
Because I think all these words and things getting thrown around causes confusion. Now, I know for me, as a ex-clinic owner, not long ex-clinic owner, for me, all of this was just like, oh my gosh. And even like yesterday, there was this level of panic.
Yeah.
And what the goal is to actually get our industry regulated. Is that right, Stef? Is that where we're heading towards?
The goal is to elevate and sort out our industry, because our industry is a bit of a shambles right now. It's to organize it correctly. That's that's what, I think people say the goal is to regulate. The goal is to make everybody safe and profitable. That's the goal for us anyway, for ABIC. The goal obviously for government is, safety and public health and so forth. The goal for a client is to get a good, safe, effective treatment. But for ABIC, the goal is to sort out the mess and bring us to the current day, which is get our occupations right, get our education to suit what we do, get our regulation fair and equitable and nationally governed, so that there's not all this confusion, and make us viable and profitable, and protect us from people that don't have qualifications coming in and performing unsafe treatments, and making, the landscape extremely challenging for people who do genuinely work in this industry and have the right education and have put into this industry. So our goal is to make our industry flourish and grow and be prosperous, not to hurt anybody. It's to protect vehemently every single person that is in our industry. So how do we do that? We need an overhaul, Beck. A complete overhaul. It is a little bit of a mess right now. Our education is not fit for purpose, and our regulation is not fit for purpose. Starting with right now, which, as I say again, the ANZSCO is the Australian Standard Occupations. Basically, it's the codes. New Zealand's been knocked off, and now ANZSCO is just for Australia. It's to get that right. At least if we don't know what to call ourselves, where do we go from there? If what the government is calling us is incorrect,
which is,
yeah, where do we stand? Like, imagine accountants were called bookkeepers. Bookkeepers wouldn't be happy, accountants wouldn't be happy. We need to get that basis right. And people that think this is not very important and I'll sort itself out and it'll be fine, they really don't understand the issue. And the issue is, if we don't define who we are correctly, everything else can't flow from there. Does that make sense?
And also another thing, it's an upgrade of everything. Upgrade of the education system. It's an upgrade of the qualifications with our team. And as I said, there's no worry in panicking. And ABIC is working really heavily on this. And if there is changes, then we're going to come up with a solution as well, like the upgrades of education. What will ABIC do if these changes do happen?
Okay.
There will be a time frame to get certified up to wherever people need to be certified in relation to the equipment and the treatments that are performed in their businesses.
That's a good question. So I didn't ask your question before about what is ABIC doing. ABIC for the last 3 years have been working with every single government body that pertains to our industry. And we're talking about Department of Education, the Department of Home Affairs, the ABS, TGA, APRA, every body that regulates our industry, we have been talking to, and we've been having meetings with, and we've been putting submissions in and writing letters and becoming well known. So, people in those departments will know who we are. They'll know who I am. They'll be talking and liaising with us. And we have been lobbying for our industry, which has worked. Believe it or not, it has really worked, and very quickly, because we were on the skills shortage list in the first year. We're on the skills migration list to the third year. We're working with the official consulting body, pretty much the main consulting body with SACSA, which is education reform. We've been working with the ABS. So it is really taking shape, and we're becoming such a stronger voice in government. And what do? We attend meetings, we go to Senate, we go to COSBOA meetings, which are the Council of Small Business. We talk to ministers. Gosh, if I tell you, I can't even tell you the amount of work we do, and the amount of letters and emails we write in the background. There's a lot of work going on, and it's clear because the result is what you see, right? Progress is happening. And if it wasn't work going in, there wouldn't be any progress. And I think what was the last question? Where are we going?
For the upgrades, and for clinics right now, when they're sort of going, oh my goodness, there could be upgrades of education, that they have got big equipment, or they're doing treatments that do put them in that next level, and maybe right now they haven't got the certification or what they need to be doing those treatments. By the look of what's there right now, I know that there's going to be recommendations from ABIC to be able to support. It's not like people are going to walk straight in and just take out their machines, and
no,
that's not going to happen.
No, but let me give you an example of how quick things can happen. A couple of weeks ago, the TGA just put a straight out ban on vaginal rejuvenation devices.
Yes.
Just like that. And they named all the companies that need to remove their vaginal rejuvenation lasers from the market, and it happened pretty much overnight. So if we think it's fine, we're safe, there was always the chance that can happen. However, I think that more likely it's going to be a gradual process. And then all of a sudden it will happen. So what happens with government is they go, we're listening, we're listening, we're listening, we're shelving this, we're shelving this. And then at a certain point, somebody comes in, because government officials change all the time. At a certain point, somebody comes in, picks it up off the shelf and goes, why haven't we done anything? Quick, we're banning this, or quick, we're doing this. Or there's a public outcry, or a thing that an instigating event happens, and then all of a sudden it will kick into place. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. So I think people have got time. If you are worried about I suppose, your qualifications and whether or not you can treat, and you're heavily into the dermal therapy side and you're a beauty therapist, I would say go and upskill. Go and upskill is the safest way. And this is what happened in the financial services industry. There was diploma qualified financial, they're not called advisors, financial planners. They were called financial planners. And then there was degree qualified financial advisors. The government just went, no more financial planners. You can't, if you've got a diploma, it's not good enough. You need a bachelor. And basically put half the industry out of business, and they all had to go to school.
I remember that actually.
So if you think we're safe, let's not be naive. But at the same time, let's not panic to the point where, oh my God, I need to shut my clinic. I need to move out of the industry. No, no, no. What you need to do is put into your education and then like upskill properly if you are heavily in the dermal sector, or protect yourself other ways, like, certify your clinics, like make sure that your like safe skin certification is a way to safeguard, to put a safeguard in there, because we want to be the Australian licensing body and regulatory body for the industry. We're going for that. We're not saying we're going to get it, but we're going for that. And Safe Skin is a platform to show the government that, hey, we are compliant in every way. So you can do things like that. I think.
Do you want to just share a little bit about the Safe Skin, so people, if if they're hearing this for the first time? I know we've got quite a lot of salons that are actually going through the Safe Skin certification in their businesses right now. Yeah, share a little bit about that, Steph, so we can really share with people what that actually is.
So Safe Skin certification is a way to basically certify your clinic as doing everything correct and by government standards. And so we go through your clinic from A to Z, in a very easy, simplified, streamlined way. We ask you to provide some evidence with regards to, 7 or 8 points of your business, starting from HR, occupational health and safety, your qualifications, and infection control and so forth, treatment manuals, stuff like that. And we ask you for little pieces of evidence. You build up points, and then you get your clinic certified. And getting your clinic certified shows the public and shows the government that, hey, we are committed to safety, we're committed to benchmark standards, and we're doing everything by the book. And that's a way to safeguard, and we're promoting that with government bodies to try to become the official licensing for our industry. So like, when you get a health permit for your business, that will be like hopefully in the future, getting it Safe Skin certified will be like that. So if you get in, in the beginning and there are changes, we can say, look, we've gone through all of these things. We believe that, certain clinics and salons are safe. They're doing the right thing. They should have grandfathering clauses. Like, we've got an argument. If we go to the government with nothing and say, well, we've done really nothing here to safeguard or to protect our industry or to elevate our standards, they're going to look at us and say, well, you need heavy regulation because you're not doing it yourselves. But government look very favorably on self-regulating industries. They actually like that because they don't like paperwork. So they're like, well, we don't want to do it really. But if you're doing it yourselves, great. And they want to see that an industry is responsible. So by being part of a peak body, it shows the industry that the players in the industry, the stakeholders, care. There's a lot of voices there. And don't forget, there's a lot of voters there. So when the government looks at a peak body, they are a little bit intimidated by peak bodies. Like, for example, the Retail Association has 10,000 members. The government's like, we need to be good to them because that's 10,000 businesses, 10,000 voters. They have a strong voice and they kind of really listen. If you walk in with 1,000 members like us, they listen. but do they listen to 10,000 members more? Sure, of course they do.
So I'm going to say anybody that's not part of ABIC, if you've got a clinic, if you're a sole trader, whatever you are, dermals, beauty therapists, or everybody, this is your moment to consider coming along and joining ABIC so we can be the voice for our industry. I know yesterday I had 5 people that were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to join ABIC straight away, because power by numbers.
Oh, yes.
It really makes a difference. So I'd love you, as you just said, the Retail Association, 10,000 people, and there's no reason we can't have 10,000 people in ABIC. We've got a lot of
reason we've got so many of.
And I know that our industry is so passionate about what we do. Like, we literally, I don't think there's any industry in the world that holds the passion that we do, changes the lives that we do, that really, but we bury our heads in the sand when it comes to this stuff a little bit, because it's a little bit confusing. And as you said, we've just sort of been able to do whatever we wanted for the last 20 years. And I know when I first started out 30 years ago, our industry is completely different. Like, it is a different, absolutely mind-blowing how we've evolved. And it's extraordinary. However, the government's just catching up to us. And now it's like getting the ducks in a row. So there isn't a reason to panic right in this minute, but we have to make consideration that things are going to change. And if we don't have enough people backing us as the body of our industry, then our voice isn't going to be heard. No. And we need more people for our voice to be heard. So if you're listening to this, please, from my heart to your heart, I am here as an industry in this council, because it's about contribution for our industry to be here long after I'm gone, long after you're gone, Stef, and that it stands and it's represented by the beautifully. So Stef, where do we go from here?
Well, I think what we need to do is we've got, whether you see, people sometimes don't join an association because that, they might not agree with everything, or they might think, oh, I've got a different viewpoint, or I've got a different standpoint. What people don't understand is we're not here to push our opinions. Our opinions don't factor into it. Like, in our meetings, it's not about our opinions or what we think. It's about what the majority of our members have said to us. So it's like a voting thing, or, without officially being voting. Our members tell us what they want. We then do the actions of our members. Now, if you don't agree with the direction, the best thing to do is to join ABIC and join the self-regulation and education committees, or one or the other, because then you get to tell us what to do. And the more of you that say one thing, that's what we do. So it's not that we govern the way we want to govern. We govern
members'
help
feedback.
Yes, based on your feedback. So if there's not many of you, we listen to whoever the members are, because we are a member body, right? We listen to industry, but we're a member body, so we have to represent our paying members. And if you want a voice and you don't agree with certain things, come onto the committees, be loud and proud, and tell us what you want. And that's the only way to be able to change the direction. Don't put your hands up and go, I don't like what's happening, or ABIC's going in this direction, I'm not really 100% happy with it. Come and tell us, because that's the only way we will get it right, is by your voices. And the only way the government listens is more voices and more funding. Now, it costs a lot to get legals and now we want to go and consult with a legal team about the ANZSCO and what is going to happen in the future. We need funding for that. That costs a lot of money, to run. And, people think, oh, we don't get much from ABIC. We don't really need ABIC, or we don't really need the HR. We don't really need this and that. But being a part of a peak body isn't just what you can physically right now get for your business right now. It's to have a voice for your business and for yourself in the future. Yes. And now really
it's a little bit untangible at the moment, but it becomes tangible as things evolve. And I think that's what ABIC's done. And over the last 3 years, there's been so much that this council has been able to do for our industry. Stef, is there anything else that you would like to cover?
Steph McLean asked, how do the members tell you is it I can't remember, survey. The members tell us because we have a self-regulation and education committee, and you're welcome to join it. Members email us, they talk to us. We do surveys as well. So the last survey we did, it was 800 people. 800 people responded, and you ticked whether or not you were a member. And if you were a member, obviously those votes and that feedback forms the basis of our submission. So for example, the last time was this submission was the ANZSCO. We asked everybody, we said, if you're a member and if you're not a member, answer these questions and tell us what you think about the ANZSCO codes. If you tick that you're a member, those opinions obviously are the ones that we officially represent. We listen to the whole industry though, because we have to get a picture, but the members' voices are the loudest ones, and we do it various ways, but especially through the committee. And believe it or not, if members do call up, we get a lot of people calling up, talking to us about, hey, I've got this problem. We've got a facilitator, pick up the phone. Actually, we've changed now. It's online, registered, and then we call you back. So we actually communicate with our members, and we send newsletters, and we inform our members. But it's basically
surveys, newsletters. Every time there's an update, you push it out there. Is there anything else that hasn't been answered in these questions? I can see that there's, we've got a lot of people that are sitting online with us today. Is there anything there, Steph, that you can see that we haven't answered in this live today?
Yeah, Abby has said, I understand this might be a difficult question to answer at the moment, but if we have a 3+ years of relevant experience, and are able to continue as usual, how long can we expect to remain safe before another review or potential changes are made? I just want to avoid the scenario where we think everything's fine, only for a policy change in 5 or so years that requires to study again. Does that make sense? How often do these changes typically occur? That's a brilliant question, Abby. Thank you so much for answering it. So this is probably where the panic is coming from. The short answer is we don't know. It could be 3 years, 5 years. It could be next year. Because the problem here is that the government, as I said, they shelf things and then they bring it out and then they review it all at once. And they go, well, this is the evidence that we have. This is the plan, and we're rolling it out. And that's what happened with the vaginal rejuvenation. That's what happened with, cosmetic medicine, all of a sudden changes like that, and everybody had to scramble to change their website, change their consent forms, put a mental health assessment in. All these different changes came into play. So my best guess right now is what they've done. This is an educated guess right now. What they've done is they've put 2 categories in. One is beauty therapists at a Cert 3, and one is dermal therapy at a diploma. They've deliberately, I feel, speaking to them, that they've deliberately left out diploma despite our constant, not just us, SACSA, and a whole bunch of other people have said, what about the diploma? You have to put a diploma in because you're leaving out a whole bunch of people. They've left it out on purpose, is my feeling, because they don't want 3 occupations that are very similar within one field. They want 2. They want you to specialize in dermal therapy, or they want you to specialize in a Cert 3. And what they're trying to do is reform the diploma. I don't want to say they want to get rid of the diploma, but they are trying to reform. I believe if they weren't trying to do that, they would have included that. So I'm looking into the future. I mean, it's a crystal ball look, but you can always see the movements of government and how they do things, and you can see what they're trying to do ahead of time. And if you're looking for the right things, you can see the clues and why are they leaving out that particular qualification. So my opinion, if you want to keep doing what you're doing, the absolute safest thing you can do is, if you're doing dermal therapies and you don't have a dermal therapy diploma, go do it. That's the safest thing. If you run a business, more and more people are going into dermal therapies, and it's encouraging. I believe these ANZSCO codes are encouraging people to go into dermal therapy so that in the future we don't have a skills shortage in that area. But if you're hiring people, it's a tricky one right now.
And I guess that's where when you look at some of the beauty therapists that have been in this there, and they've done all the upskilling, Steph, And, that 3 years of experience will come into it as well.
Yes, so the other thing is there's upskilling day courses or a course from a manufacturer that doesn't have an official qualification. They aren't looked at as weighty in the government's eyes. What's the most weighty is like an official diploma, right? But consideration I gives me hope, because consideration has been given to 3 years experience. So I feel that what they're trying to do is push beauty therapists that are doing dermal therapy into being a dermal therapist and classifying them as dermal therapists. And if that means that historically they've had 3 years experience and then they can call themselves a dermal therapist, and there's a way to officially make that happen, I feel like that's maybe what they're angling towards. And they're angling towards those that want to be just in beauty and spa to go towards the Cert 3. But unfortunately, that doesn't include massage. So we have to educate, like reform education to get Cert 3s, skill level 3s up to the current definition of beauty therapist, I
I
think.
think we've talked about your, those 2 levels at this stage. So, but then we've got the health, which is your dermal clinicians. Is that right?
So what's happened with dermal clinicians is we put in a submission in, and so ASDC, Australian Society of Dermal Clinicians, has put a submission in to remove dermal clinicians, which is it's basically the degree. So it's the bachelor, it's the Vic Uni 1 and equivalent, over to the health services. So we have lobbied and we have submitted, and Australian Society of Dermal Clinicians, so both of us put the submission in, and it's been accepted in that category of health, along with ABIC put a submission in for the cosmetic nursing, and that's been accepted too. So we've got 4 occupations, 2 in health, 2 in personal services, 2 in health services.
Right.
But they're still the industry. So, and they're safe, they're great. They're both those 2 are doing well. So we don't really have to worry about dermal clinicians. Dermal therapists are doing well. Like they're categorized correctly. Dermal therapist, dermal clinician, and cosmetic nurse is classified correctly. The only one that's not is beauty therapy.
Yeah. So we're going to keep updated. You're going to keep in there fighting. You're going to go back in and what do you do now, Steph? Like, I know that you said before that you're gonna
next year, so it's the end of the year, but next year it's talking to the ABS, consulting with them, talking to SACSA, getting their opinion on the situation, and hopefully we have enough funding for a legal team, because that's what we need. We need to fight for the industry, and we pretty much need legals. So if you want to support, your membership will actually end up paying for or supporting that. And if there's suppliers out there that are listening to this, that's where the big funding comes in. That's where our big memberships come in, and that's what really can help us with legal advice, with helping to lobby, because it's really extremely expensive to do so. So, if you're a salon owner and you have brands in your clinics that are not ABIC members, tell them, why are you not supporting us? Why are you not an ABIC member? Because we've got a whole slew of incredible supplier and foundation members. I mean, I can rattle off 20 like skincare companies that are supporting you through the membership with ABIC, and that you can put into your clinic and salon, because that they're giving back to you, and suppliers and all the rest of it, who are angels for our industry. So,
and it is for the legacy, to keep the industry going, and that's why we have those beautiful supplier and foundation members, and so we need as many people to come into ABIC. We need to be a voice. We need to be, for me, I know when ABIC first came out, it was just a no-brainer. I knew that I was going to jump into support our industry. I was not wanting anything in return. I just wanted to be a part of whatever it was that was going to be able to hold our industry and be able to do these things that are happening in the background, while we can go and do our work and know that we've got a body that's fighting for us in the background, no matter what gets thrown at us. Steph,
we deserve it. We deserve it. Every other industry has it, and every other industry's body is strong. Even myotherapy, I couldn't believe how many thousands of members they have. So we need to step up, and whether you agree or not, join to tell us your
Opinions.
thoughts.
Give us feedback. We want to
Yeah.
know. We want to hear everything. Steph, thank you so much. We tried to keep this a little bit shorter because sometimes we could sit here and
I
talk
know.
for ages. I don't think we've got any other questions there. Thank you for all the hard work that you do, Steph. I don't think people actually realise the work that you do behind the scenes. And I think as a council, we see what you do. And we want to thank you because I know all the meetings and you and Reka and, you know, and all of us when we come together, it's a really proactive council. And it's, you know, it's really, yeah, it's been beautiful to be a part of. So thank you, Steph.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Beck. You're awesome.
If anybody has any more questions, pop them in the comments and we'll do our best to get back to you. Other than that, Steph, Merry Christmas to you.
Oh,
Merry Christmas
Merry
to all of our members.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everyone.
And to the whole beauty and aesthetic industry, we hope you guys they're having the most abundant, crazy, beautiful time in their businesses right now, and that they get a little break through the Christmas period. And we will keep everybody updated. We'll keep jumping on these lives just to debunker anything that comes up. We've got you. And we hope you guys have a beautiful Christmas and an absolutely amazing New Year. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you. That was lovely. That was beautiful. Love to you all. Thank you. Bye, everyone.